Hello and welcome, replay viewers. How's it going? This is Julie Jordan Scott coming to you for poetry and writing prompts, and today I'm in my car. I'm out running errands and not close to a park, and just figured I'd just stop and do this here. How's that? A little bit different, huh? And I hope it's okay. Welcome. I'm glad you're joining me. Welcome, replay viewers. I'm glad you're here too. Today we're going to be using a poem from Thomas Hardy, and I'm reading from this book, which is actually a book that's about writing poetry. It's by Mary Kinsey. We have featured her here before. She's an incredible poet. This book, if you're looking for a book about writing poetry, it is it's very dense. She's a professor. She's a poet and critic and a professor and director of the creative writing program at Northwestern. So the writing is very, very heavy. And sometimes I have to read paragraphs like twice to get through it. Hey, Lori. So she's very much an academic. In fact, reading her today, she was complaining, kind of in a complaining tone about poetry today. And was saying how some of the styles are just totally informal, and the only like modern poet who can take on some of the formal methods is oh my goodness, my brain isn't functioning. I'm reading your name so I'm forgetting things, but it's a Bakersfield poet who I featured here, who actually emailed me after I read his poem. And it fell out of my brain. Hopefully it will fall back. But it just kind of shows you the style that she's like, well, no one does this anymore except perhaps the brilliant Pulitzer Prize winning Bakersfieldian who I can't remember. Oh, Frank Bedart. That's it, Frank Bedart. I kept seeing Benedetti in my head. I don't know why. Anyway, I'm thrilled you're here. Thank you for the hearts. Today we're reading a poem by Thomas Hardy. And it's a lyric poem. It's old-fashioned. So it's about being present, and no matter how far back in history you go, people have been struggling with staying in the present during important times. So what I'd like you to do as far as a prompt goes is to, and you can't do it until later on, but is to really pay attention to when you are looking away rather than paying attention. Okay, so when you hear the words of this beautiful poem, you'll understand. When are you looking away instead of looking at whatever's in front of you in that present moment? So I'll read it through once. It's called The Self-Unseeing. I'll read it through once. We'll take a pause. I'll pause at the bottom to talk a little bit about looking away and staying present, and then I'll read the poem for a second time. So feel free to come and go. Feel free to invite your followers, knowing they'll get a full taste of the poetry. Hey, Nikki. Now timing. So anyway, I'm going to get started with The Self-Unseeing by Thomas Hardy now. Here is the ancient floor, foot-worn and hollowed and thin. Here was the former door where the dead feet walked in. She sat here in her chair, smiling into the fire. He who played stood there, bowing it higher and higher. Childlike, I danced in a dream, blessings emblazoned that day. Everything glowed with a gleam, yet we were looking away. Deep breath, yet we were looking away. Interesting that this poem presented itself in my morning reading today at this time of year when we tend to be with our families and we tend to pay attention to traditions. And I confess there are times when I look away rather than staying present. I hope the sound of the truck next to me isn't too distracting. I forgot to put my microphone in. I was so concerned about being here and I forgot that. So anyway, think for a second. Just take a breath and think about how you intend to stay present. Just notice it today. Notice those times when you accidentally look into the future or look into the past and miss what's right in front of you. And instead of going, oh my gosh, I missed what's right in front of me, Julie said to pay attention. None of that's allowed here. What is allowed is noticing and coming back and just going, hey, that's cool. Yay, self, you looked back. You looked, not back as in back, but you looked back at what's right in front of you. So, okay. Round 2 with Thomas Hardy, The Self-Unseeing. Here is the ancient floor, foot-worn and hollowed and thin. Here was the former door where the dead feet walked in. She sat here in her chair, smiling into the fire. He who played stood here, bowing it higher and higher. Childlike, I danced in a dream, blessings emblazoned that day. Everything glowed with a gleam, yet we were looking away. Yet we were looking away. This poem I'm sure you can find online or in many collections. Yes. Yes. Yes, Nikki. I'm reminded, there must be a reason I'm supposed to say this. This is the name of the author in the book, just so you can all see it in case you're curious what I was reading from. I'm thinking about my son, Samuel. He has autism, and I don't talk about my family that much on these scopes, but he has autism, and so he doesn't look much into who's talking to him, look into the eyes. When kids on the spectrum are little, the face is a scary thing. Studies have shown that the face is a scary thing. So when you like yell at a kid on the spectrum to look at you in the eye, it can really cause havoc in their emotions, etc. And yet he is probably one of the most attentive people I know. He notices things that we completely miss. And when we were at Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving, my friends came over, a woman I've known since the 6th grade. And we were in New Hampshire and cross country. And so I didn't know when we rented the house for the weekend that she would be, she only lived 30 minutes away. So I called her spontaneously and said, would you like to come over? We've rented this really cool lake house. I really would like to share it. And she came and we played this really fun game. It's like a bunch of conversation cards and they ask all kinds of questions. And so one person asks a question and other people will answer. So Samuel likes playing that game, which again seems ironic because he's on the spectrum, right? So people on the spectrum aren't supposed to want to be in a relationship or in communication, and that's not accurate either. It's just they usually don't know how. Or it takes them a while to learn how. But Samuel was enjoying asking these questions, and one question he asked is, what do you think is the ugliest thing about growing old? The ugliest thing. And he said, I know what mommy will say. He's 15 or 14. And I was like, what will mommy say? Looking at my wrinkles, looking at my gray hair. And he said, mommy would say, the ugliest thing about growing old is having her kids grow up. Isn't that brilliant? That's someone who does not look away. Yeah. That is someone who is a model of attention. I know. So, with Thomas Hardy and my Samuel, I hope and pray that today, thank you for listening. I hope and pray that today and over the weekend, we won't be back till Monday for this particular broadcast. If you'll pay attention and notice when you look away. I know I'm bound to look away in the next few days, look away from important stuff. So if we're intentional, if we're reminding ourselves that we are to stay present and look, just look back, look at whatever it is. When you find yourself looking away, say, oh my goodness, I'm looking away. Whoop, look back. And let me know how it goes. Send me a Twitter at me, direct message me or at me on Twitter, or wherever else you may find me. I'm on Facebook. I have, Writing Camp with JJS on Facebook. I have all kinds of stuff, and pretty soon my new website will be out, and I'm really excited about it. Okay, so I'll do my introduction, which I always do last. I'm Julie Jordan Scott, and I am a creative life coach. My work is about inspiring your artistic rebirth. And I love coming alongside people and inspiring them to, you have a great weekend too, Nikki, to get those words out. Because the world is waiting for your words. The world is waiting for your projects to come into fruition. Let's breathe life into those projects together. What do you say? Enjoy your weekend, and I hope to see you. Bye-bye.